In this video, you are going to see how to use Ansible for the Debian 12 initial server setup. If you want to do it manually, you can come here, follow all these steps, and there's also a video you can follow. But in this case, let's use Ansible for the setup. So first of all, let's get the code and then I'm going to explain it. So at least you need to know Ansible. If you're going to use this, you don't have to be an expert, but you should be familiar with Ansible. So I'm going to download the file, save, I'll open it, extract here, Ansible Debian setup. There it is. Let me open this in my terminal. I'll open the terminal here. Open terminal here. You can use whichever editor you want to use. In my case, I'm just opening it here because it's easier to demonstrate when you're using the terminal. So I can do a tree and explain everything. We have the Ansible configuration file, and then we'll have an includes folder. In the includes folder, there is an unattended upgrades configuration file that will be uploaded to our server. And then there's also this swap playbook. This is a task that will enable swap. And this is also another task.yaml that will enable unattended upgrades, automatic upgrades for Debian. And then our inventory will be there. We're going to edit that. This is what will run. We'll look at it in a moment. The playbook. The role that we have here, this is a role that is based on this original role from this fella. If you want to search for it, you can do Ansible Galaxy role search HestiaCP. You're going to see this role is there, and I put it here to edit it because it's a bit old, but I just added it here for you. So in case you want to install HestiaCP after the initial server setup, you can do so. But at the same time, I will do another video for how to install HestiaCP with this Ansible role. So let's look at the playbook and see what we are working with. Control L to clear the screen. VI tab. Edit that playbook. And I put everything in one playbook, but you can put them in different playbooks. You can put them in different tasks, different roles if you want to, but I decided to put everything here because it's much easier for you to follow along in this situation. So one thing that I added here that will help you if you're interested in that is this vars file. This is an Ansible vault. So if you have any details that you want to hide, like maybe the username, the password, they can be put here. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment because we need to create that file if you're going to go with the same step. If you don't want to create the Ansible playbook, the Ansible vault for some details, what you can do is you can just add the literal details here. For example, for the new user, instead of getting the value there, you can put the new username. Maybe it's admin. Just put the name there. Password as well. Remove that and put the name there. And then all the other details are there. They're defined. You can change your SSH. You can change your host name as well there. These are just variables that you can change and they will be used at some point. So when it comes to the swap file as well here, you'll see that you can change the details for the swap file to whatever you prefer. And then the size of your swap, you can also change the size. If you want 4 GB, you can change that there. And then these are additional packages that you're going to install. So if there's anything that you want to use and you want to install it with this Ansible playbook, you can add it there as well. And then let's come down to the tasks. Now, as for the tasks, update the package and then upgrade all the packages and then install additional packages. This is going to loop through all the list of packages we have here and then create new sudo user. We're going to create a sudo user and the name of the user will be taken from what you put here. Configure SSH for the new user. This is a part that's going to add the SSH key. Okay, the SSH key, I should have put it as a variable up there, but it seems I didn't. So you can just add it here, wherever your SSH key is, under your user home name, your user home directory .ssh, the location of the public key. Make sure you're uploading the public key. And then you want to, and then it will be uploaded to the home directory of the new user into authorized keys. And then you can set the time zone. The time zone variable is also up there. Fail to burn will also be enabled. It's already been installed as one of the additional packages. And then it's just going to add this into the fail to burn jail.local and set the host name and then create a swap file. So this is going to include a task, and that task is inside of the includes directory. So inside here we have the swap file and the unattended upgrades that will also be included. So you can look at those to see what they do and edit them accordingly. And then auto upgrades, this will also include a file. This will also include a task from the includes directory. Configure the firewall. The UFW will be enabled, and then it's going to add this rule. So if you need to add any other port, you can just add it in a similar manner. The way I added 45 here, you can add another port. But as I said, if you're installing a control panel like HestiaCP or CyberPanel, you can simply comment out all this. Okay, up to that point, comment it out, and then configure SSH port, root login, and password authentication. So this is the last thing I do because it involves changing the port. And once you change the port, of course, you're going to need to change that in the inventory file if you want to be able to access the server again. For this demonstration, I want to use Vultr. I need a real cloud server. I can do this on my local computer with a virtual machine from VirtualBox or Vagrant, but I'd rather get a real cloud server just to show you how it will go. So let me deploy a server. If you don't have a Vultr account and you're new to Vultr, you can test it for $300. Link in the description below. I will also add links to other cloud providers if you need to use any of the others. Here I will go with shared CPU. I don't care about the location, I just need a server, and I can go with AMD high frequency. Alright, AMD high frequency doesn't exist. Let's go with AMD high performance. Take the $12 one. So I'm charged hourly, so it doesn't really matter. And I will continue. I want to use Debian. I'll select Debian 12. SSH keys. You'll need to log in with an SSH key, so make sure you add it. On Vultr, you can go to your account. Then there's a link for SSH. Add your SSH key. Add your public SSH key. So I'm going to use that here. Host name on Vultr. Make sure you add your host name. So I'll just use the same. This is just a sample that I added here. Copy, come back, and I'll use this as the host name and the server name. IPv6, I don't mind an IPv6. Automatic backups, disable automatic backups. I think that's pretty much it. I will deploy the server. I just need an IP. Click on it. I want to get the IP and add it to my inventory. So I'm going to use IPv4, copy the IPv4, come back, Control L to clear the screen, edit the inventory. So if you have multiple servers you want to initially set up, you can add all the IPs here. In my case, let me uncomment that because it's currently not running. I'm just going to Control Shift V to paste in the IP I've gotten from Vultr, and at the same time I haven't changed my SSH port, so let me comment this out at this point. Once I run my Debian setup Ansible playbook, I will come back and uncheck it because after it runs, the port will have changed to that. Shift ZZ to save. What is the next thing I need to do before I run this? So also make sure that here you have the correct SSH key, private key for that server. Now the next thing that I want to show you, if you go back to the playbook, up here we have these verse files. bus file, and this is what's giving these values. Okay, so if I don't add anything here, it's going to fail. It's going to tell me these values don't exist. So I need to create an Ansible Vault for this. I'll just copy this in advance. Control-Shift-C, Control-L to clear the screen. So I need to create an Ansible Vault. One way that I show you how to do this is you add a vault file password. So if you go to the Ansible configuration, you'll see here I've added a vault password file. You can change the name and create a file called this, called whatever you want. And this is going to make sure that every time you use Ansible Vault, it doesn't ask you for a password. That's what I'm trying to do. And the password is used for decrypting files. So let's do this in real and see what I mean. So the vault password, I need to create this. It doesn't exist. Shift ZQ. First of all, let me create a file. I believe it was called .ant pass. And then inside of this file, just enter a password. Just enter a password that will be used for decryption and encryption password for everything that you put in Ansible Vault. Escape, Shift, ZZ. And once I do this, if I was to do Ansible Vault -h create, so you can create, you can decrypt, you can edit, you can view, all of that. Control L, Ansible Vault, create user. So normally you'll see in most cases people use .yaml, but I prefer to use it without the YAML. That way it can confuse someone. They won't know what it is. So Ansible Vault, create user, Control-Shift-V. Let's add edit. Let's add a user here. So what will be the new user for your server? You can call it new admin 25. That will be the new user. And let's also give this user a password. So that is the password. So everything that you want to hide, you can always put in an Ansible Vault, and it's not that difficult to do, as you can see. So there we go. So we've hidden our username and password in an Ansible Vault. If I save this, Shift ZZ, and if I try to view it, cut user tab, you're going to see now it's encrypted and no one can read it. If you want to read it, you can do Ansible Vault view. It will show you the details. If you want to edit it as well, maybe you want to add more items in this vault, you can do edit, Ansible Vault edit user, and it's going to allow you to edit it. Shift ZQ. We have set up everything we need, right? Let's just see if there's anything I've forgotten by running the playbook. Ansible playbook debian.yaml. Of course, I should have said don't check, but just type yes to continue. So I'm just going to pause and let it run. And if anything comes up, I will resume recording. So see you in a minute. All right. After waiting for a while, the playbook has completed running. If I try to ping the server at this point, I will not be able to ping it because the SSH port has changed. So let's just confirm that. So it shouldn't be able. Let's go and try and log in. Let's try and log into the server and confirm some of these things. Control-Shift-T, and I want to confirm some of these things. Control-Shift-V. SSH connection refused. So that's a point that is working. I don't know why on this end it's still able to. Probably it's just being cached. If I try it again, it should not work. So just give it time and it's going to pick up on that. So if you want to log in, you have to explicitly define the port you want to use for logging in. We can confirm UFW status. You can see the ports we added have been added there. And what else do we need to confirm here? Let's look at unattended upgrades. If unattended upgrades, let's see if they've been set up. Let us see, coming up here, we can see allowed origins are. This means that it will run because there are allowed origins. Anything else that you can confirm? Let's confirm if it has created our swap free-h. There we go. The swap we created for 2 GB is there. That's how to set up your Debian server with Ansible. And now if you want to connect it, maybe you want to change something, you want to increase the size of the swap. So let's confirm this free-h. It's now 2 GB. Let's say we want to increase the size of our swap file. The first thing I'll need to do is to change the SSH port in the inventory. So 0 to go to the beginning of the line. I will delete that, escape, shift ZZ to save, and then let's go and edit the playbook and GG to go to the beginning of the file. And then what I want to change here is the size of my swap. So let's make this 4. Let's make it 4. I to go into edit mode, enter 4, escape, shift ZZ. Let's run the playbook again. Ansible playbook, run the playbook, enter. Once again, let me give it some time, and then I'm going to come back once it's complete. All right, there we go. It's done running. You can see some things were changed. So let's go and confirm that. There you go. You can see now the swap is 4 GB. That is how to set up your Debian server with Ansible. You can download the file. You can download the Ansible playbook and all the files. Here, I've added the link on this post in the description below. Something else I will do is how to install HestiaCP using that role I told you about. So if you come down here, you can see I've commented installing HestiaCP, but you can also install HestiaCP if you wanted to. But first of all, you'll have to go into that role and then edit the various variables for HestiaCP, such as host name, admin, password, email, and so on. So first thing, download and extract the files from there. So this HestiaCP installation is based on this role. This role is found in the Ansible Galaxy, and we're going to look at this. We're going to edit various things like the host name and any other thing that we need to edit. So this role is already edited. The one I've included here is already edited, and it works with the current HestiaCP version because the role is slightly outdated, just slightly, not too outdated. It's still very helpful in installing HestiaCP. So thanks to the original creator. Let's look at this role. If I do an ls inside of the roles directory, you'll see we have the role in there. So the thing that I need to edit, or rather the things that you're going to need to edit, let's look at them. So vi roles and HestiaCP tab not HestiaCP, but I can just press tab to autocomplete, and under defaults, let's look at what we need to edit inside here. So the server host name, I'll just leave it as that. That's the one that I've put there as a sample for you, and you should edit it. So all the other items here, if you wanted to place this in an Ansible Vault, that is the admin mail, password, username. I did an example whereby I put the username and the password in a vault. So if you want to put this in a vault, you can do so. You can also just edit here, enter your email. Here as well, you can enter a password. So this is a password you're going to use to log in as the admin user, and then Hestia admin username. This was added. This is a feature that was added recently in HestiaCP, allowing you to change the admin username. So that's what I've added there. The admin username, you can change it and make it whatever you want. I'm going to leave that as it is. And then Hestia install flags. So if you want to install Apache, of course, change this to yes. If you want to install PHP FPM, yes. Multi-PHP, you can see this was also something that I had to add here, because multi-PHP now allows you to select the PHP versions that you want to install. So if you want to install PHP 7.4, you can add PHP 7.4 here and all the PHP versions that you need. So make sure you edit that. And then if you want to install VSFTP, then you can install it. If you want to install Pro FTP, you can install that. If you want to install named MySQL as well, if you want to install MySQL, you can install MySQL. And then Postgres, you can install Postgres. Exim, if you don't want any item, just type yes or no, right? And then as well port, if you want to change the port, let's change the port to 2083 just for demo's sake. So I'll change the Hestia port to 2083. This is something that I believe I had to uncheck because it is null and void, considering I've already set up multi-PHP up there. So I had to uncheck this. Anything else that you need here, Hestia generate SSL, you can generate it or not. If you already have your DNS pointed to your host name, and that is a server host name that is up at the top of this file, then you can change this to yes, and Hestia is going to generate an SSL certificate for that domain. I'm just going to leave this as it is. Escape, Shift, ZZ. Let's go to the playbook. The one thing that I had commented out was the HestiaCP installation. So I'm just going to uncomment this so that HestiaCP can also be installed. So install HestiaCP, and it's going to go into these roles. It's going to use this role. That is pretty much it. Then I will escape, Shift ZZ to save. I will run the playbook again, Ansible. So let me just search for it, Control R, playbook, Control R, there we go. Ensure you've edited your inventory file to add your server host name, to add your server IP. For this demonstration, I'll use the same server. If you're new to Vultr and you're going to use it, you can find the link with the $300 credit in the description. So let's just run that. And this might take a while, so I'll pause, and then once we need to do anything, I'm going to resume recording. So as I was waiting for it to complete, I just noticed that I still have UFW enabled, and UFW has added various ports. UFW has allowed various ports. If you're going to install HestiaCP, just uncomment out that part, or you can go into the playbook and disable UFW. Where it says enabled, just disable it. So for some reason, it's hanging here. I don't know what the issue is. I wish I had run the playbook with -vv for verbosity, but I didn't. So let's just see if it's installed, because if I look at the server, Control L, if I do htop, okay, I can see PHP has been installed. PHP is running. So HestiaCP is probably running and also installed. Let's just confirm. Control Shift Control V for the IP. I'll paste the IP and the port. We set the port as 2083. So let's go in. Oh, what did I do? Okay, I'll just copy this. I'll just edit this here. Copy, paste and go. And you can see we can access Hestia. All right, so let's try and log in, and you remember where the user and password was. So let's come back. It was under defaults. Here, I'll just open this. The admin username was admin, copy, enter. The password was this, copy, Control V, enter. There we go. Hestia is installed. Let's just confirm that all services are running. So if I come back here and I look at it, you'll see that all the services we sought out to install are all here. All right, there we go. WordPress is installed and working. You can install and update plugins, no problem. Say you wanted to enable FCGI. You can come in here and enable FCGI. If you wanted to use PHP 8.4, you can do so here as well. Save. That's how to install HestiaCP via Ansible. We've installed it and seen it working. All right, that's pretty much it for this video. If you see anything that you can improve on the playbook, comment with your code below and we'll test it out and see if we'll use that to improve it, and I can share it with everybody. If you see anything that you can add here, also let me know. I will see how to go about that. That's how to set up your Debian 12 server with Ansible. You can download this. It includes initial server setup plus HestiaCP installation. That is on this page. If I forget to add it, just remind me. Sometimes I forget. See you next time.